Okay, I do a daily or, well, bi-weekly blog at Bring on the Rain 2011.blogspot.com. I do this every bi-weekly, so about twice a week or so. And I have a certain topic I talk on, whether that be forgiveness or anger, frustration, or going to dating, or anything you could possibly think of, I've probably written on, and most of them are by my own experience. But I take these blogs and I relay them back to the Bible. So it's not like I pull my own advice out of the air. I take verses out of the Bible that relate to the topic, and I show my point through that. Well, today's topic was going to bed angry, and I did not want to type it. I wanted to say it. So today's topic is on being angry. I believe it's Ephesians 4:24, but it says, do not let the sun fall while you're still angry. This verse means very much to me. It's actually one of my favorite verses. It's helped me through very much. Whether it be me sharing my room with my sister and just being angry that she's my straightener, or being truly angry, very angry at my parents for whatever had happened, down to being angry at the person I was dating for whatever reason. Maybe he didn't hold my door. I don't know. Just some silly reason. But I was just genuinely thinking about it today, and I hadn't really wrote on anger. And in your heart, anger is one of those things that God created. It's a wonderful thing God created. Jesus got angry. He got angry at the church for trying to sell things within his house. It shows that I'm not too familiar with the book it is. I haven't studied it too long. But it shows how Jesus got angry. Angry is a very healthy emotion. There's happiness. I mean, you get that from earthly objects, but then there's joy. You only get sheer joy from God. There's joy, and there's anger. There's frustration, and there's sadness. There's just sadness in general. God also made sadness. And what amazes me, though, is that He made sadness, but He also made anger, and He also made joy and happiness, and the complexities that He's made us is just mind-boggling, and it just completely blows my mind that this one man can create a human being and put all the complexities within a body. That's a miracle on its own. And then run a world in a solar system that revolves on the world, that keeps the world at perfect temperature and keeps everything as perfect as it can be, because if it's not perfect, then it can't run functionally and we won't be here. That just blows my mind that a man that took all of this time, and already not even that much time, it was 6 days, on the 7th day God rested. So a man that can do that genuinely has the time to make such delicate things within our lives, such as emotion. And I was sitting there, I was talking to my boyfriend's mother, and I was sitting there, and I was thinking about the emotion anger. What is anger derived from? What can anger be turned into? Why do people get angry? And a lot of this, mostly, in my own opinion, mind you, this is in my opinion, anger is derived from negative thoughts, and negative thoughts are from not being so in tune with God's thoughts. I am a very firm example of not being into God's thoughts and then being in a bad mood because of it. I generally, before I go to school, I try to do my devotion before I go, just to start my day off right, and then I do another one when I come home, and then another one before I go to bed, just to always be consistently in God's Word. And there's a website my youth group does called doyourdevotions.com. Easiest website to get to, and you type your devotion online with the rest of the youth group. Well, I haven't done my devotion in quite some time online, and that's the one I do in the morning. And I think, and I was angry that day. I was so angry, and I was so just disparted from my body, and I was so dismembered. There was my soul, and there was my body, and I just was not whole that day. I was very separate, and I was without myself, and I was not in my own self, It was just one of those days, and I was so curious as to why I wasn't within myself. I mean, I am one of the most happiest people you ever meet. Why am I not in myself? And I figured I was going through my schedule and seeing what I did, and I woke up late that morning, and I had no time to do my devotion, so I just changed my clothes, brushed my hair, brushed my teeth, and jetted. And I realized I didn't start my day off right. That was my problem. And so a lot of the derivative of my anger came from me not being in God's Word, and that just blew my mind. And I was angry with my boyfriend. I'll be totally transparent with you. I was angry at my boyfriend a couple of hours ago, and he had no idea why, and still doesn't need to know, so I'm not going to share it. But I wasn't angry, I was more upset than angry, but it was going to lead to anger if I didn't assess it quickly. Um, I was just upset, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't understand why I was so upset. Generally these typical things would not upset me so drastically. And I was going through why such thing would upset me, and every day in our relationship is all consistently based around God. Our thoughts, our actions, what we say, how we do things is all based on God and God's word and His words for dating and His words for relationships and etc. And that's our whole relationship. Well, lately he's been in Jacksonville, and I've been here, and it's separated us a lot lately. And one of our biggest concerns with this whole dating distance thing is that we respect parents on equal sides. And lately we've just been so distant from each other because we haven't been respecting our own parents, nonetheless respecting each other's. Um, and so I was personally trying to figure out why I was so angry, and I was just not following God's word. I think that was why I was so angry. I went to church today, and I was just so upset. No one would ever know it because I can't help but smile at church. But I was just so upset. I was so just distraught. And I had not a clue. It's one of those moods that you get in when you're just distraught and pulled apart from yourself, and you have no idea why. You just are. And I was going through my list of things today, and quite frankly, I wasn't myself today. I think that was why I was so pulled away from myself. It just wasn't me. It wasn't who I am. And that generally does it for me. But going back to the topic of anger, um, I also, this is a part two because I typically also do, I made a commitment to myself that every day out of the year, I would do this for a year, every day I would say one thing that I've learned that day that is relevant to God's Word. In some way, I'll find a verse. There's a verse for everything in the Bible. But today was day 5. And we were talking about, I had a conversation with my friend Victoria, and we were talking about the singles ministry at my church, and it's called The Bridge. Build a Bridge. And it was talking about bridging a gap between the singles ministry and the adult ministry in the teens. Because when you're a teen, you can just go to youth group, but when you're 20 and single, where do you go? You don't go to the adult class. Those are a lot. They're adults, obviously, and so you need that bridge. And so they made that bridge in my youth group with one of my wonderful youth pastors in my life. And I was talking to my friend Victoria because my boyfriend used to be the singles ministry before we started dating, and now that we are, he's not any longer, obviously, because he's not single. But we were talking about building a bridge, and it made me think, how much time and effort do people put into making a bridge? what does it take to make a bridge? How many people does it take to make a bridge? Kind of like how many blondes does it take to screw in a light bulb? How many people does it take to make it a very effective bridge? So I was thinking about it, and I was trying to figure out what kind of bridge it would be, and I decided mine would be wood. I put myself in my situation, and I thought, how long would I have to sit out in the hot sun to make myself a bridge between one area to the next? And also deferring on how far the gap was, obviously, but say if it was just a very small gap, I just needed a bridge, the gap was just wide enough to where I couldn't jump. So I'd make this bridge. It's like I sat there in my mind and I'm like, wow, this would be so tedious, sitting there making a bridge, one by one, placing a brick and wood. Oh my word. It'd be so tedious. I could not do it. It's definitely for the perfectionist mind, but I sat there and I'm like, Christians are just like that gap. And it takes a congregated group of Christians to successfully fill a gap. And you take one, but then one meets another, and then another meets another, and another meets another, and soon you get like this bridge or this gap that's just amazing. And say you're this one Christian in school, you're all by yourself, and you just outwardly say that you're a Christian. There's bound to be one other person near you that's a Christian. And when that person comes out and says they're a Christian, you must confess with your tongues that you love the Lord. And then there's another one, and there's another one, and there's another one, and there's constantly just this bridge. And you realize that in your public school systems and at your workplace and at your school, at your college, there's a bridge. It's just this bridge is now viewed to the naked eye. It's still growing, it's still refurbishing itself. And I was sitting there and I was thinking about this. I'm like, in my high school, there are so many Christian people, but they're so scared. They are sheerly scared upon the fact that they'll get made fun of. I haven't made fun of for my Christianity for quite some time, or my abstinence or anything of the sort, so I don't mind. I'm quite proud, actually. But I know with people, this girl's like, it is so cool that you are so open with your Christianity. I'm like, if I deny my Father, he will deny me from lukewarm water. He'll spit me out his mouth. And she's like, well, wow. And it really, it got me thinking, and I had to talk to her, and she's very interesting. I finally got to talk to her and just explain to her, you're either hot or you're cold. You are not lukewarm. God cannot stand lukewarm. You either are for him or against him. You are never in the middle. And so I confess with my mouth and my actions that you are Lord. And I was just thinking truly that day 5, my lesson of the day, is that we Christians can be the gap. And it's not just 1, and it's not just 2, it's not just 3, it's not just 5, and it's not just 10. Christians are the gap, and you need a congregated amount of them. You need this group of them that is willing to step up and say, hi, I'm a Christian, and I love the Lord. And a lot of people just can't do that. A lot of people are scared, or a lot of people are just not open to the fact of wanting to be a Christian, wanting to be openly to be a Christian, which blows my mind, I suppose. But at the same time, I don't think it does too much anyway. I was actually going to pull up my thing I just posted. Yes, the verse is 426, but it's on my Facebook. If you're my friend on Facebook, it's on there. On my day 5, this is what it says. Building a bridge sucks because it sucks. I mean, can you imagine the labor that went into that? The agony of it. You would be in the heat, taking wood or cement, doing this all day. Can you imagine how tedious yet precision is needed? Laying one after the other. Can you imagine what we'll do for the people, though? They can finally meet in the middle. I have learned today that it's a two-way street. and that the bridge someone can't walk across alone. I need to help build one side of it